Do you not know that your world is simply a reflection of your state of mind? That the only thing between you and the life you desire is the belief that it is already yours? Act as if you are the best, and reality must conform. I am the best. I am already at the top. I am recognized for my greatness. Repeat these words until they become a living reality within you, until you no longer question their truth. For the moment you accept them as reality, the world must confirm your assumption. You are not meant to wait for success, recognition, or transformation to happen to you. The law of assumption demands that you assume the feeling of already being the best, right now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment. Act as if the masterpiece has already been painted, as if the symphony has already been composed. Let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am wealthy. Let the unseen truth become your living reality. For what you dare to claim within, the world must mirror without. This is the key to manifestation and the doorway to the life you dream of. But the question remains, do you dare to believe in yourself? Do you dare to step into the feeling of already being the greatest version of yourself? If so, the law is unwavering. The world will bow to your assumption. Your imagination creates reality. There is no power outside of you shaping your life. Your imagination is the creator of all things. If you wish to become the best, you must assume you already are. The world you see is only an outpicturing of the beliefs you hold within. When you change your self-concept, the outer world must shift to match it. To begin now, close your eyes and feel yourself as the greatest in your field, in your art, in your calling. Feel the power that comes with this realization. Let it sink into the depths of your being. It is not enough to merely wish for greatness. You must live as though it is already your truth. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. All transformation begins with an assumption. You do not become the best by striving or struggling. You become the best by assuming the feeling of already being so. When you truly feel yourself as the person you wish to be, you shift your state of consciousness, and the world has no choice but to reflect it. Do not wait for evidence. Do not wait for external validation. That is the path of the doubter, the path of the one who remains bound to circumstance. Instead, trust in the unseen, for the unseen is the cause, and the seen is merely the effect. Manifestation is a shift in awareness. Your current life is not the result of luck, nor is it the work of external forces. It is the harvest of your inner conversations. If you want a different harvest, you must plant different seeds. You must begin to tell yourself over and over, self-concept is the key to success. Your self-concept determines everything. You cannot outperform your own beliefs about yourself. If you see yourself as small, the world will respond accordingly. If you see yourself as powerful, unstoppable, the world must rearrange itself to reflect your conviction. The secret is simple. Live from the identity of your greatest self, and you will walk into the reality of your greatest self. The power of assumption in action. Think of the greats, the ones who left their mark on history. They did not wait for the world to acknowledge them. They acted as if their greatness was already established. They walked in the assumption that they were the best, and the world merely confirmed it. You must do the same. Act as if your success is inevitable. Act as if you have already arrived. For what you claim within, the world must bear witness to without. Your world is a mirror of your beliefs. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you see yourself as already victorious, the world must reflect victory. If you see yourself as struggling, the world will offer you more struggle. This is why it is said, to him who has, more will be given. For the one who assumes greatness will receive greatness. The one who assumes lack will receive more of the same. Shift your assumption, and you will shift your world. The time to act is now. No more waiting. No more doubting. No more hoping that someday you will become the best. You must declare it now. Tonight before you sleep, dwell in the feeling of already being the best. Let it consume you. Let it define you. Persist in this assumption and watch as the world bends to your belief. For you do not need permission to be great. You need only assume the feeling, and the world must obey. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you experience, it all begins within you. The world before your eyes is not separate from you. It is a reflection of the state you occupy. What you call reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your own consciousness. If you want to change your life, you must first change the way you see yourself. The mistake most people make is believing they are at the mercy of circumstances. They think success, love, and recognition come from external forces. They wait for a sign, for permission, for someone or something to grant them the life they desire. But this is an illusion. There is no power outside of you dictating what you can or cannot become. You are the sole architect of your reality, and your imagination is the tool through which you construct your world. If you want to be the best, if you want to rise above, you must first accept one fundamental truth. Everything in your life is a reflection of your own self-concept. Your relationships, your wealth, your success. Each one is a perfect mirror of what you believe to be true about yourself. If you see yourself as small, unworthy, or incapable, the world will simply confirm this assumption. But if you dare to assume the feeling of already being the best, if you walk through life as though your greatness is undeniable, then reality has no choice but to align with this conviction. Your imagination is the creative force behind everything. Look at the world around you. Every building, every invention, every piece of art, every empire, each one began as an idea. Before it became tangible, it first existed in the unseen realm of thought. This is the great secret that so few understand. The unseen is the cause, the seen is merely the effect. You do not become the best by waiting for the world to acknowledge you. You become the best by seeing yourself as such first, by assuming that role within your own mind before the world takes notice. Think of the greatest figures throughout history, the ones who shaped the world. They did not wait for permission. They did not ask the world for approval. They saw themselves as great long before anyone else did. They walked, spoke, and carried themselves as though their success was inevitable. And because they did, the world eventually confirmed it. They lived from the end. And so the end became their reality. You must do the same. Begin now to see yourself as the person you wish to be. Close your eyes and imagine it vividly. How do you walk? How do you speak? How do others respond to you? Do not concern yourself with how it will come to pass. Your only responsibility is to assume the state of being. Feel it so deeply that it becomes natural, until it feels as though it has always been true. Most people misunderstand imagination. They believe it is something passive, something separate from reality. They fail to realize that imagination is reality. It is the seed from which all things grow. The moment you accept something as true in your inner world, the outer world begins to shift in response. This is why so many remain trapped in cycles of limitation. They continue to see themselves as lacking, as struggling, as waiting for a better day, and so the world reflects this assumption back to them over and over again. But the moment you change your inner conversations, the moment you assume a new identity, everything shifts. If you see yourself as powerful, confident, and already at the top, then life must mirror that belief. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law. The world outside of you is only the echo of the world within you. Test it for yourself. Take a moment right now. Assume the feeling of already being the best. Do not merely think about it. Feel it. Walk as though you already are. Let your thoughts, your posture, and your presence reflect this new belief. And then persist. The longer you dwell in this state, the faster the world will rearrange itself to confirm your assumption. Doubt is the only thing that can break this process. The moment you question whether it is working, you return to your old state. The moment you look to the outside world for validation, you reinforce the very limitations you seek to escape. You must remain unwavering in your assumption, knowing that imagination is the only reality. You are not becoming the best. You already are. The only thing standing between you and the recognition of your greatness is your willingness to accept it as true. Step into that role now, live as though it is already done, and watch as the world catches up to your conviction. To change your life, you must first change the state in which you dwell. The greatest secret of creation is this: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Every moment you are radiating a state of being, and the world responds in perfect harmony to that state. If you wish to be the best, if you wish to rise above all limitations, you must live as though your desire is already fulfilled. You must occupy that state so completely that it becomes your natural dwelling place. Most people make the mistake of looking to the outer world for confirmation before they believe in their own greatness. They wait for success to show itself before they feel successful. They wait for recognition before they feel worthy. But this is the reversal of the law. You cannot wait for the world to prove anything to you. You must prove it to yourself first. You must assume the feeling of already being the person you desire to be, and in time the world will reflect that assumption back to you. To live from the end means to think, feel, and act as though your desire has already come to pass, not as though it will happen one day, not as though it is close, but as though it is already done. When you walk into a room, how would you carry yourself if you knew beyond all doubt that you were the best? How would you speak? How would you hold your head? The answer to these questions is not theoretical, it is the key to manifestation. The state you consistently assume is the state that hardens into fact. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of your inner assumptions. If you assume that you are struggling, the world will confirm that struggle. If you assume that you are already at the top, the world must bow to that assumption. This is why effort and striving fail so many, because they work tirelessly to change external conditions while remaining unchanged within. They do not realize that it is not action that creates, but the state from which action is taken. A man who believes himself to be great moves through life with a quiet confidence, an unshakable certainty, and it is that certainty that compels the world to acknowledge him. Do not concern yourself with how your desire will come to pass. That is not your work. The rational mind seeks to calculate, to predict, to control the details, but the creative power does not operate through logic. It operates through conviction. Once you assume the end is true, the means will be provided. Paths will open where none seem to exist. Opportunities will arise that you could not have foreseen, and circumstances will shift to accommodate your assumption, but only if you persist. Doubt is the destroyer of all creation. The moment you question whether it is working, you step out of the state of the wish fulfilled and return to the old state of the wish fulfilled, and return to the old state, reinforcing the very conditions you seek to escape. This is why so few truly master this principle. They waver between faith and fear, between certainty and skepticism, and so they remain stuck in the cycle of waiting. You cannot serve two masters. You must fully commit to the reality you wish to experience and refuse to acknowledge anything contrary to that assumption. Test it now. Close your eyes and imagine, not as though you are watching a distant possibility, but as though you are already living it. Feel it as though it is happening now. If you can persist in this state, if you can walk through life carrying this certainty within you, the world will bend to reflect it. This is the law. It has never failed and never will. Assume the end and reality must conform. The greatest mistake man makes is believing that his circumstances shape his identity. He looks at the world around him, at his failures, at his limitations, and assumes they are fixed, as though reality is something outside of himself. But what he does not realize is that his outer world is nothing but a reflection of his inner world. What you assume to be true about yourself is what life must mirror back to you. Your assumptions are the foundation upon which your entire life is built. They are the unseen architects, shaping every event, every opportunity, every limitation. You may believe that success is determined by effort, by luck, by connections, but these are mere shadows cast by the deeper truth. It is your self-concept, your deeply held assumptions, that dictate the course of your life. If you assume you are destined for greatness, life will prove you right. If you assume you are average, struggling, or unworthy, the world will confirm it in every way. Observe the world carefully, and you will see that people are not bound by their circumstances, but by the ideas they hold about themselves. There are those who rise effortlessly, as though success is their birthright. There are those who struggle at every turn, never breaking free. And yet, if you look closely, you will see that the difference between them is not in their actions, nor in the opportunities given to them, but in the way they see themselves. One assumes he is a success, and so success follows. The other assumes he is destined for hardship, and so hardship remains his companion. This is why effort alone will never be enough. You can toil for years, pushing against the world, trying to force change through struggle. But if your assumption remains the same, you will always return to the same conditions. The man who believes himself to be poor may win a fortune, but soon it will slip through his fingers, for his inner world does not support the idea of wealth. The man who assumes he is unworthy of love may find companionship for a time, but eventually his reality will return to match his assumption. No amount of action can override the power of belief. You must take control of your assumptions. You must recognize that they are the invisible forces shaping every aspect of your life. If you desire to be the best, then you must assume you already are. Not someday, not in the future, but now. You must abandon the false idea that you need proof from the outside world before you can believe. The process is reversed. You believe first, and then the world provides the proof. This is not imagination in the sense that most understand it. It is not daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is a conscious selection of reality. You are always assuming something, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you assuming consciously, or are you allowing the world to dictate your beliefs for you? The masses live unconsciously, accepting whatever life throws at them, never realizing that they are the cause. They see failure and assume they are failures. They see rejection and assume they are unworthy. And so, the cycle continues. But the one who understands this law does not wait for the world to change. He changes himself. He selects a new assumption, one that aligns with his highest vision, and he lives from that state. He does not waver. He does not check for evidence. He does not seek validation. He assumes his greatness as a fact, and in time, the world conforms. Do not concern yourself with how it will happen. The mind will try to interfere, will try to question, will demand logic and reason. Ignore it. The means are not your concern. The how will reveal itself once you have assumed the end. Your only task is to persist in your assumption until it feels so natural, so real, that the world has no choice but to catch up. Test this principle now. Assume the feeling of already being the best. Walk through your day as though it is done. Speak, think, and act as though your success is inevitable. Do not allow doubt to creep in. Do not entertain the old state. If you persist, if you refuse to waver, the world will shift to reflect your new reality. Your assumptions are your destiny. Choose them wisely. The greatest secret is not in wishing, nor in hoping, nor in waiting. It is in feeling. To change your reality, you must not only think of what you want, you must feel it as though it is already yours. This is the law by which all things are created. Whatever you feel to be true will externalize itself in the world around you. If you wish to be the best, if you wish to rise above all limitations, then you must not wait for proof. You must feel the proof within you now. Most people remain trapped in the illusion of separation. They believe that success, confidence, and greatness are things that exist outside of them, things they must chase, things they must earn. But this is the great misunderstanding. You do not acquire what you desire, you become it. The state you most frequently return to in your mind is the state you will manifest. And the way you enter that state is through feeling. Feeling is not an after effect of achievement. It is the cause of it. If you wait to feel successful until success arrives, you will wait forever. If you wait to feel worthy until others recognize you, you will never receive their recognition. The world is a mirror, reflecting not your words, not your wishes, but your deepest, most persistent feelings. To feel something as real is to call it into existence. Do not mistake feeling for emotion alone. This is not about mere excitement or fleeting enthusiasm. It is about conviction, a deep, unshakable knowing that what you desire is already a reality. How would you feel if you were already the best? If you were already admired, respected, and sought after? If you had already achieved everything you long for? This is the feeling you must claim before it appears in the world. The moment you claim it internally, the world begins to shift to make it external. The masses live in reaction to the world. They allow external conditions to dictate their internal states. If things go well, they feel good. If things go wrong, they feel defeated. But the one who understands this law does not react, he creates. He assumes the feeling he desires regardless of appearances. He walks with certainty even when there is no physical evidence. And because he refuses to surrender his inner state to the outer world is forced to conform. Do not concern yourself with logic. The rational mind will say, how can I feel something that is not yet real? But this is the flaw of common thinking. Reality is shaped from within, not the other way around. If you believe that something must first appear in the physical world before you can feel it, you are living in bondage to circumstances. But if you dare to feel now what you wish to experience later, you will bring it forth into your world. The secret is persistence. If you only assume the feeling momentarily and then return to doubt, you cancel the process. You must remain in the state. You must return to it over and over again until it becomes your natural dwelling place. This is not about forcing yourself to believe. It is about gently guiding your awareness back to the desired feeling again and again until it takes root. Test it now. Close your eyes and bring forth the feeling of already being exactly as you wish to be. Not in the future, not one day. Now, let it settle within you, let it become natural, and then live from that state. Speak from it, walk from it, act as though it is already done. If you hold to this assumption, the world must rearrange itself to match it. This is the law. It has never failed and never will. Feel it as real now, and the world will make it so. All creation begins with assumption, but it is sustained and brought into form by the way you speak and act. What you consistently affirm, both in thought and word, takes root in the unseen and manifests in your world. The mistake most make is that they continue to speak and act from their current reality, reinforcing the very conditions they wish to change. But if you desire to be the best, if you wish to ascend beyond limitation, then you must speak and act from the certainty that what you desire is already yours. The world reflects your inner conversations. Every word you speak is a command, every phrase an instruction. When you say, I am struggling, you cement struggle into your experience. When you say, I am uncertain, you extend uncertainty into your future. Words are not idle sounds. They are creative forces. If you understood their power, you would never again speak of lack, doubt, or limitation. You would only affirm that which you desire to see materialized. If you wish to be the best, then you must speak as though you already are. You must never say, "One day I will succeed," for that keeps success in the realm of the future, always out of reach. Instead, you say, "I am already all that I desire to be." You claim it now. The mind may protest, pointing to the evidence of the senses, but you must not waver. The world does not change first, you change first, and then the world follows. Words alone, however, are not enough. You must also act from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. The one who understands this law does not wait for success to behave successfully. He walks, speaks, and moves as though he is already in possession of all that he seeks. He does not seek validation, for he knows that his assumption, once fixed, must become reality. He is not concerned with appearances, nor does he measure progress by what the outer world reflects in this moment. He simply lives from the end. And because he remains faithful to this unseen reality, it must become seen. Many fail because they waver between two states. They affirm greatness in one moment, but in the next they check the world for signs, and finding none, they return to doubt. This is why their desires remain unfulfilled. They are like a seed that is planted but then uprooted again and again, never given the chance to take root. The secret is persistence. Once you assume the end, once you speak and act from it, you must remain unwavering. Test it now. Choose the state of being the best, not in some distant future, but now. Speak from that state. Move from that state. Do not look to the world for confirmation, for the world will only reflect what you have consistently assumed. If you persist, if you refuse to entertain any thought or word that contradicts your chosen state, then the world will have no choice but to reshape itself to match your assumption. Speak and act from the end, and reality must bow to your conviction. The greatest obstacle to creation is the mind's dependence on the evidence of the senses. The world presents itself as solid, fixed, and unchangeable, and most accept it as such. They look at their current conditions and say, "This is my reality." But those who understand the unseen laws know that the physical world is nothing more than a shadow of their inner state, a delayed reflection of their previous assumptions. To create deliberately, one must learn to ignore the evidence of the senses and trust in the unseen reality of the wish fulfilled. The senses report what has been, not what will be. They only confirm past assumptions that have taken form. If you continue to react to what you see, hear, and touch, you remain trapped in the cycle of cause and effect, never breaking free. The key is to withdraw your attention from appearances and redirect it toward the truth within you. You must cease to be a servant to the world of form and become a master of your own mind. Consider how easily people accept the world's definition of reality. If they see lack, they declare themselves poor. If they see rejection, they assume they are unwanted. If circumstances seem unfavorable, they resign themselves to failure. But this is self-imposed limitation. What the senses report today is only a result of prior thinking. To change tomorrow, one must learn to deny the evidence of today. To truly live as the best, to assume the state of greatness, one must close the eyes to appearances and open them to inner conviction. The mind, if left unchecked, will constantly seek confirmation in the outside world. It will demand proof before it believes. But the law does not work this way. You must first believe without seeing, for only then will the seen world conform. The world is clay in the hands of assumption, but if you allow the clay to dictate its own shape, you relinquish your creative power. The strongest among us are those who can hold to their vision despite all contradictions. When they see failure, they still assume success. When they hear doubt, they remain firm in faith. When nothing in the world supports their belief, they persist until the world has no choice but to align. This is the test of true mastery. The weak react, the strong create. The weak complain about circumstances, the strong ignore them and declare their own reality. You must train yourself to become indifferent to present conditions. If the world says you are small, you must not accept it. If the world says you are unworthy, you must not listen. The only truth is what you assume to be true. If you decide that you are already the best, that you already possess all that you desire, then you must act as though this is so, without hesitation, without seeking reassurance from the outside. The world will not confirm your assumption immediately. It will resist. It will test you, presenting every possible reason for you to doubt. But if you remain unmoved, if you hold to the unseen reality with unwavering faith, then what was once invisible must become visible. Silence the voice of the senses. When doubt arises, return to your chosen assumption. When appearances contradict your desire, persist in your conviction. Do not look to the world for evidence. It will come in time. Act as though you already possess what you seek, knowing that reality must shift to match your inner world. If you can master this, if you can walk in faith while the world denies you, then you hold the secret to all creation. Ignore the evidence of the senses, and the world will bend to your assumption. The mind is the only reality, and what is held firmly within it must, by law, externalize itself in the world of form. But this law is only realized by those who possess the persistence to sustain their vision without faltering. The weak, the undisciplined, begin with excitement, but soon surrender to doubt when the world does not immediately confirm their assumption. They waver between faith and fear, belief and uncertainty, and in doing so, they delay the fulfillment of their desire. The one who understands the creative principle knows that persistence is the secret, that to assume a state and remain faithful to it, despite all appearances, is the only path to true mastery. Many begin with great conviction, but when the outer world shows them nothing in return, they abandon their assumption, claiming that the law does not work. But the law is unwavering. It is not the law that fails, but the individual who fails to persist. Just as a seed must be given time to root and grow before it bears fruit, so too must an assumption be nourished by the steadfastness of the mind. The impatient dig up their seed, searching for proof, doubting its growth, and in doing so they kill what would have naturally come forth in time. But the wise understand that all things move from the unseen to the seen, and they remain faithful to the end they have claimed, knowing that it must take form. The greatest mistake one can make is to judge by appearances. The senses will always tempt you to believe in delay, in obstacles, in conditions that seem immovable. But these are illusions, shadows cast by previous states of mind. If you persist in your assumption, if you refuse to accept anything contrary to the vision you hold, then all obstacles must dissolve. All conditions must rearrange themselves to fulfill your desire. The world is not solid. It is fluid, responsive to the convictions you hold without compromise. There will be moments when doubt whispers, when circumstances scream that nothing is changing. But in these moments, you must stand unmoved. The one who wavers prolongs his suffering, while the one who persists shortens the distance between assumption and fulfillment. Every great realization, every success, every transformation has been born from persistence. Those who refuse to be swayed by external conditions, who continue to walk in faith, find themselves standing in the very reality they once imagined. If a man assumes he is the best, yet allows the world to convince him otherwise, he proves that he did not truly believe. For belief is not fleeting. It is not tested by circumstances. True belief remains unshaken, regardless of time or resistance. It does not need evidence to sustain itself, for it is the cause, and all effects must follow. The world is the mirror of the mind, and the reflection changes only when the mind refuses to accept what is presently seen and holds to what it has determined to be true. You must remain faithful to your vision, even when there is no sign of its coming. You must walk as though it is already so, speak as though it is already done, think only from the state of the wish fulfilled. To the undisciplined, this seems foolish, but to the one who understands, it is the very law of creation. If you can persist without contradiction, if you can sustain the feeling of being that which you seek, then there is no force in existence that can deny you. The world must mold itself to reflect your assumption, for persistence is the key that unlocks all desire. Creation is finished. There is nothing to be made, only to be revealed. The world you desire already exists in the unseen, waiting for your recognition. But to bring it forth, you must learn the art of living from the end, thinking only from the place where your desire is already fulfilled. The difference between those who struggle and those who manifest with ease is simple. The former hopes, while the latter knows. The one who knows walks in the assumption that what is desired is already true, and because he does not entertain any contrary thought, reality must conform to his conviction. Most people live in the state of waiting. They desire a change, yet they continue to think and act from their current circumstances. They say, I will feel successful once my achievements prove it, or I will believe in my power once the world confirms it. But this is the great error of the senses. To wait for proof is to delay the manifestation indefinitely. There is no waiting in creation. The only way to experience what you desire is to assume its truth now, to enter the feeling of fulfillment so completely that the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. When you live from the end, you do not seek signs, you become the sign. The one who is already successful does not look for confirmation, for he carries the certainty within himself. The one who is already loved does not need reassurance, for he knows he is cherished. The moment you stop acting as though you are lacking and start thinking from the reality where your wish is fulfilled, the world begins its rearrangement to match your inner conviction. This is the law of assumption. What you accept as true within must appear without. The great secret is this: your external world is only a reflection of your inner state. Every experience, every event, every encounter is simply an echo of your assumptions. If you wish to change what is seen, you must first change what is felt and believed. To live from the end is not to pretend or force an illusion. It is to fully embody the reality you seek so that it becomes your natural state of being. There is no forcing, no effort, only a deep inner knowing that what is felt within must take form. Most people fail because they waver between two states. They assume their desire momentarily, but quickly return to old doubts. They visualize for a moment, but then check the world for proof. And when they do not see immediate changes, they fall back into the same patterns of thought. But those who understand the law do not waver. They remain firm in their assumption, living from the reality they have chosen. And because they do not contradict their vision with doubt, their vision must materialize. To live from the end is to walk in the feeling of completion. If you desire success, you must assume the feeling of success now, not tomorrow, not after some external validation, but in this very moment. If you desire health, you must feel the ease and vitality of a healthy body now, regardless of what the senses may claim. If you desire love, you must assume yourself to be already deeply loved and wanted. Every great transformation occurs first within, before it can be known without. This is the power that governs all things. What you accept as true within yourself, the world must reflect back to you. There are no exceptions, no limitations, only the beliefs you dare to hold. If you can persist in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, if you can truly think and act from the end rather than toward it, then your world must shift. The outer world is but the servant of the mind, and it must bow to the one who has claimed his reality as already complete. There is no power outside of you shaping your destiny. You are the operant power. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. molding itself according to the assumptions you hold. If you can grasp this truth, you will understand that life is not about waiting for change, but about embodying change from within. The secret is to act as if you are already the best, to assume the feeling of the fulfilled desire so completely that the world has no choice but to confirm it. You must persist without contradiction, refusing to accept anything less than the reality you have chosen. When you learn to sustain your vision without doubt, you will find that what once seemed distant or impossible was always within reach, waiting for you to claim it. Live from the end. Walk in the assumption of your desired state. Let your imagination lead, and reality will follow. Everything you seek already exists within you. Dare to believe it, and it must become your experience.